Welcome, everyone. My name is Medea Chachik, and I am the best-selling author of Facing Grief with Eyes Wide Open. And I'm here. It's very exciting today to be here because I have so many amazing, beautiful things to share with you. And I wanted to inspire you to really connect with the greatness that you are, the greatness that lives inside of you that may still be a little bit dormant. And I know that that is one of the reasons why we're all here to do. So, and the other thing is that I wanted to inspire you to find, to see, and connect with your own potentiality. What's possible? What's inside of you that is still waiting to be discovered, to be unleashed, to be integrated, and to be shared with the world. And also the discovering the possibilities available to you when you make the strong connection of wanting to be the one to guide your own transformation and your evolution, to bring yourself to the highest potential available to you. So this work that I've been doing for the last 30 years of my life as a transformative therapist, and then for the last 5 to 6 years as a transformative feminine power coach, I've been calling it self-mastery process. It's transformative work. It's deep transformative work, but it's at the level of, I call it mastery because we have been doing, the whole world is doing, it's transforming, it's evolving. But transforming ourselves consciously, it's about doing it consciously and aligning ourselves consciously to this process, this universal process that is happening right now on the planet. That it is a conscious evolution process. And also mastery, because at this point in our own evolution, we are the ones to take the responsibility to be the guides, the leaders of our own transformational process. So mastery is about evolving ourselves to the highest potential who we are, so that then we are the ones who are going to be guiding, supporting, and encouraging, and the other parts of us that are still perhaps less evolved, that need to be on board consciously, that need to be also transformed, because we need to experience our own wholeness. That's what mastery is, to experience all parts of ourselves, all dimensions of ourselves, the mind, the feelings, the spiritual selves, the body, all unified and aligned with that intention of wanting to grow, want to develop, and wanting to become the best self that we potentially are. So this is going to be really a very exciting and a very empowering journey. So what I would like to do is, it's about guiding you into understanding your own what's inside of you. All the patterns, the beliefs, the assumptions, and the stories that you have been living inside of, that are really or old, or from the past, and that are possibly not serving you anymore, where you're wanting to go, what you're wanting to experience, and what you're wanting to contribute. So it's about transforming what's blocking by discovering that inside of you, and graduating it to another level. It's like breaking our own so-called glass ceiling, so that we are living not from the limits but we're living from our potentials, for more greatness, from more deeper truth that is aligned with, who we truly are, our deepest core self. So this is exciting, isn't it? This is amazing. Right now, there's a potential for everyone to wake up and discover that within themselves. So I invite you to really be present here with me, and to really open your mind, your heart, and even your body, your whole energy, to really allow yourself to be receptive, to perhaps have a different experience, to have an empowered, a freeing experience. We're going to be together for approximately 45 minutes to an hour, and my intention is to make this an experience for you, a powerful experience, rather than just sharing information. So I wanted to start by guiding you into centering yourself, to being present, to starting to have an experience of a more bodily experience, as opposed to just a thinking experience. So if you were just, I would like to invite you to close your eyes, if it's possible for you to do so, and just bring your whole awareness deep inside of yourself. Perhaps up to now you've been thinking, you're coming from work, or you're coming from other types of activities. So I would like for you to just take a deep breath. Just taking in more air as you're breathing in, and allow your body to expand, to take in more oxygen, to take in more air, more life force, and sending that breath all the way down into your hips, just opening and expanding your body, as if you're blowing into a balloon. When you blow into a balloon, it blows up. And as you're exhaling, just feel that you are letting go of any tension, of any tightness, of any stress, of any feeling in your body right now that may be interfering with your intention of wanting to be present. Just let it go. So again, take another deep breath. Open, expand. And then now feel what's here, what's present, as you hold the breath for a second. And then let it go. Empty yourself. Release with your intention any stress, any tightness, any tension. And then hold the breath again. Just experience, feel what it's like to be here. There's this, in the gap between the in-breath and the out-breath, there is expansiveness. There is this space where it's in between the thoughts and the experience of yourself, the habitual experience of yourself, where you can access, it's a doorway into accessing what else is present here other than your thinking. So when I do that, when I focus my attention in the gap between in-breath and the out-breath, I experience that sense of expansiveness. And I also experience a sense of quietness and peace and silence and stillness. And so in that stillness, in that silence, in that peace, it's what I'm doing is that I am stepping out of my thinking mind, my mindset in that moment. And I am amplifying the moment and experiencing what else is here in me and all around me other than what I'm used to, the habitual thinking. So just allowing yourself to again, there's no right or wrong, just feel what's here. So just notice if you feel that expansiveness, that stillness, that silence, that quietness. it feels so beautiful. So just allow yourself to center, to focus, and to into this place inside of yourself. So you're present. You're present with your whole being, not just with your thinking mind. Because that is also how we learn. That is how we integrate what we learn. It's not just with our own thinking, with our own mind, but we integrate it with our own body, with our own somatic intelligence. So now, what I would like to invite you to do next is to have an intention. What is it that you would like to experience today? Intentions are very important because they anchor our energy so that it's possible to be manifested. It's like an anchoring. It's if you want to create something, if you want to manifest something, if you want to create, if you want to do something, how are you going to do it unless you make an intention? And then you align all your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your words to support that intention. That is how it's done. So make an intention right now. What is it that it would serve you today, based on an area of your life that you are aware that is problematic for you, or that you're not completely happy with, and this is the area of your life that you would like to transform. So it could be relationships, it could be health, it could be self-esteem, it could be confidence, it could be career, creativity. So just pick an area of your life that you feel it needs to be improved. That right now, as you experience it, is not it's not making you happy. It's not what you want. And so now, for a moment, think about, what it is that you don't want. You know what it is that it's not working, what you don't like. So just think for a moment. What is it that you would like instead of that? So and then when you sense that, then you can make an intention that this is what I'm committing myself to develop wholeheartedly all of myself to support myself in achieving this. And if there are areas, if there are things that I don't know, then know that it is possible for you to find out. It is possible for you to gather the resources, to learn the skills for you to actualize your intention. So that's what I'm here today to demonstrate. So having this intention, so I'm going to give you a moment now. And I like to share my intention. My intention is to really guide you into have an experience of your own greatness, of what is possible for you in terms of your own discovering of your own potential. What else is there? What else is there for you that maybe you haven't explored yet, that maybe you're not even aware of? Your gifts, your superpowers, your strengths, your potentials, all of those things. And also as I said earlier, the possibilities, what is possible for you in the field, what is possible out there to support you in actualizing this potential and in getting to know your own greatness and connecting with that. So that's my intention. So if at the end of this video I feel that and I sense that you have intuitively that I have accomplished that, then I feel like I have accomplished my own intention of what I am here to share with the world in terms of my own greatest contribution as a transformative teacher, as a facilitator, as a leader. So then what we're going to be talking a little bit more about today, what we're going to be delving into is to how to unlock your power, your own personal power, and how to manifest your vision. Because we cannot manifest what it is that we desire at a deep level unless we align our own self, all the different levels of ourselves, to match that intention, to match what it is that we're wanting to manifest. And how I'm going to share that with you is by activating the 3 power bases of feminine power. And so, what are the 3 power bases? So, in personal transformation, from the context of feminine power transformative teachings and practices, we divide power into 3 different areas, 3 different levels. The first one is power base 1, and power base 1 is the power to transform ourselves, is transform our life. And I'm going to be talking more about what that means. And today I'm primarily going to be focusing, I'm only going to be focusing actually into power base 1, in the power to transform our life. Then power base 2 is the power to transform, to actualize our destiny. And power base 3 is the power to transform the world. And again, we're going to be talking more about power base 2 and power base 3 in later opportunities of videos and teaching opportunities. But today it's going to be power base 1. So before I go further into understanding power base 1, I would like to share 3 premises about this work. The first premise is life is a creative process, and we are creative beings. And as such, we are an extension of the great creative process of life itself. So how we create is with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our words, with our actions, with our choices, with our assumptions. Now, the second premise that this work is based on, is founded on, is that we create our experiences by making clear and powerful intentions, and then aligning all our thoughts, actions, and beliefs with those intentions, just like I mentioned earlier when I was asking you to make the intention. And the third premise is that our relationship is the source of all, informs all other relationships. So the relationship that we have with ourselves, which again is power base 1, which we're going to go in a bit deeper into this today, is really a reflection, is the blueprint of all other relationships in our lives, and also what happens outside there in our life. So what's happening out there in our life, especially pay attention to what it is that it's a source of discomfort and conflict for you, is a reflection of the relationship, the nature, the quality of the relationship that you have with yourself. And I'm going to be talking more about that, but just keep that in mind. And perhaps if you have a notepad, you may want to take some notes. So the 3 premises: we are creative beings because we are an extension of the great creative process of life. This is the way life works. Life is creative. And so we need to remember that everything we're creating all the time. So we're creating whether we're conscious of it or we're not conscious of it. And part of this work is about making what is significant, what needs to be transformed, that is still living in the less conscious dimension of ourselves, to make it conscious, so that then we can recognize its nature, and then we can decide and choose whether it needs to be transformed, whether it needs to be up-leveled, changed, all in service to our own healing, to our own transformation, to our own evolution. So these three premises are very important because, again, they talk about the fact that it's important. One of the distinction that I'm going to be, one of the keys of this work is to understand that we are creative beings, that we have the power to create whatever it is that we intend to create once we aligned ourselves to it, once we do everything to support it. And that and in that sense, we are the source of our own experience. So what does that mean? We're the source of our experience. So please, this doesn't mean that you cause, how some people believe in the law of attraction, that you cause everything that happens. And so that you're responsible. So that makes it even more disempowering for you if you think that you're creating something that it's not in alignment with your deepest desires, with, you don't like what it means is that to recognize first and foremost that we have this power, that we are creative beings, and that we can create, either keep on creating unconsciously, perpetuating our own lifestyle, our own beliefs, our own patterns, because that is what the key is here, is that what's in our life that we're not happy with, we are participating in the activating and in the perpetuating the life of that. And as such, you also have the power inside of you to change that if that's what you choose. So if you have been creating by default unconsciously, and you have been creating and perpetuating and keep on cultivating what it is that you're not happy with, then wow, how exciting, how amazing. Now you know that you also have the power to change that and to create what is more in alignment with your conscious, deepest desire. Wonderful, amazing. Wow, to me, this is a source of excitement and a source of liberation. Because it means that what the power to transform your life and what it is that and to create what you want, to activate, your own destiny is within you. That you have that power. Isn't that great news? So it's not something or someone outside of you that determines your own happiness, that determines what is possible for you, that determines, or your own peace of mind, or what you're capable of doing and what's possible for you. No, you are the only one that determines that. And so that's why this work is to help you, to prepare you into understanding that, into transforming your consciousness, so that not only you become aware of that you understand that, but also that you integrate that in yourself. And then you're starting to make it your own. And then you're starting to orient everything, your actions, how you show up in life, your behaviors, your new ways of being, and your new ways of doing. They're orchestrated all around your conscious desires, or what you're wanting, instead of what has been happening in your life, what has been in your life that is not in alignment with what you're wanting, to what you desire. Isn't this great news? So take a deep breath. I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions that you're going to have, and there will be an opportunity later on to be able to answer all your questions, to be able to understand deeper. And as I said, I hold this intention today that you're going to be leaving today with even just a little bit of this understanding, of this knowing that is inside of you, like a little seed of what's possible, or what's possible, that excitement. It's like, wow, maybe I don't have it right now, but now I see it, that it's possible to make it happen. I just need to make that decision, that intention, and to do what it takes, to do the work that it's involved in doing this. So the source. So now I'm going to be talking a little bit about going a little bit further, deeper into this. So I want to talk a little bit about the nature of consciousness. So the nature of consciousness is, I like to divide it in three levels. Let's say, or consciousness is divided in a super consciousness, a super level of awareness, which is more aligned with the self inside of us, that is more of a core self, that is more oriented around a deeper truth, that is more that is an extension of the great creative process of life, as I was saying before. It's the self, is the greatness inside of us, is the potentiality inside of us that has been with us since we were born, and now it is time to awaken it and to bring it into fruition, because now there's that possibility globally for everyone, because the energies are there to make it possible. So make that intention, align yourself with it. I want you to know that your desires are possible for you to manifest. It is possible for you to have what you want. It is possible for you, the best version of yourself. It's all possible. You just need to want it at this point, to make that intention. And then, it requires a little bit of, as I said, of processing, of doing some work, of integrating it, of understanding it, of learning the skills, the capacities that are going to support you into becoming this new you. So the nature of consciousness, going back. So again, it's the super part of us. Then there is the conscious, the aware part of us, the part in our mind, the part that we have been consciously developing ourselves. We have done so amazing things. The part of us that shows up in life as a great friend, with all our resources, all the things that we have learned, our capacities, or gifts, or strengths. And then there is another self. There is another part of ourselves. And I'm sure that you're familiar with certain terms in the 90s. The term was called the shadow self, the pain body in the language of Eckhart Tolle. In the feminine power, the context of feminine power work, we call it the vulnerable self, the smaller self, the younger self. Is the self that hasn't developed, is the less developed self, is the self that is the self of when the consciousness of us when we were literally children, and how that self was impacted, how it was affected by the experiences surrounding it, by the experience that you had, that I had, that we all had growing up, the effects from our culture, from our religion, from our parents, all the beliefs that were downloaded in our consciousness, and we just absorbed. We were too young to have that discriminative power, ability inside of us to say, well, wait a minute, this doesn't, I don't know. Yeah, this feels right to me, but this doesn't. I'm sure that in a lot of cases we did that. We used to do that, but even when we did that, we were not sophisticated, we're not evolved, we're not mature and developed enough to be able to make this distinction, to be able to make these choices. Our consciousness was more primal, was more. Was younger, was less sophisticated. And so that part of us, with all, it's what accumulated beliefs and conditioning and what we learn, is still living inside of us. But it's living in a dimension that, in a less conscious dimension of our consciousness. And in psychology, I'm a transformative therapist, and I've been it for the last 25 years. One of the words in traditional psychology is called, the unconscious or the subconscious self inside of us, the realm of the unconscious, subconscious. And that realm is less known to the average person. And it's not talked about too much unless it's within the context of, therapy. But it is a powerful, but so that there is a lot of unlocked power in that self. And that power has more influence on ourselves and our life than we are aware of. That's why in this work, in the and especially in the three power bases, it is so fundamental for us to unlock this power, to understand this part of ourselves, because this is the part that we want to make conscious. This is the part that we want to develop. This is the part that we want to possibly heal if it needs the healing. If this part of us has gone through trauma, has gone through challenges, significant challenges growing up. And this is the part of us that it contains, or what we call core beliefs that our own sense of self is oriented from. And so this in this work, in the self-transformation mastery, in the feminine power work, it is important to transform this part of us, is the foundation of our transformation, because the making this part of us conscious and then aligning it with the conscious part of us and with the superconscious part of us, with the essential, the more universal part of us, self, the core self, the more spiritual self, the genius self. So these three selves, once we make this connection and we unlock the more unconscious self to become in alignment, and we develop consciously a relationship with that, where we are the ones who are going to be recognizing what needs to be transformed in the self of ours, what make conscious, what is the core limiting belief that is the essence of this part of us, that then it informs of experiences that we may not, even if we're not aware of, that once we make we transform it, and we're evolving it, we develop a relationship with it, a conscious relationship that determines the it's a relationship, a bond that really then it creates a powerful a foundation of power within ourselves. It's a strong bond that we bring with us wherever we go, that enables us to really unlock, to really transform what needs to be transformed, what's been blocking us, and also at the same time to cultivate whatever it is that needs to cultivate it inside of us to manifest our own potentials and to our vision into the world of who we are and what we're wanting to be. So what happens is that the younger, vulnerable part of us needs to be developed, needs to be guided, needs to be heard, needs to be understood, needs to be appreciated, needs to be loved, because that is the part of us that grew up without that guidance, without those gifts. Most of us, we didn't get the perfect love, the perfect guidance, the perfect support growing up. And this is not about, judging, our parents or judging our circumstances. It's just to understand where everything is at, so that then we know what to do with it. And so that part of us, the vulnerable part, needs to be transformed and needs to be developed so that they can rise to also be in alignment with our deeper truth, instead of that part of us being in alignment with or limited beliefs about ourselves, about life, about other people, because it's those limiting beliefs that have kept us to this point, living smaller, living contracted, living less in a less capacity than what's possible for us. And then the interesting thing is that it is us, it is the conscious part of us that becomes the coach, that becomes the guide, that becomes the best friend, or the healthy parent, and the healthy big brother and big sister to that vulnerable part, so that we're developing ourselves to be more and more who we are wanting to be, who we truly are, by first and foremost learning the skills and the capacities to transform what it is inside of us that is living, in a less functional, in a less developed level. This is good news. It is possible. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share an example, an experience of this, so that you can actually see how this works, the mechanism of it. So let's say we all have certain core beliefs, and the beliefs are, again, about ourselves, about life in general, and about others. Again, about ourselves, power base 1, life in general, power base 2, and about others, power base 3. Now, we're only going to be focused on power base 1. So I want to share a power base 1 example, and using myself as the example. So growing up, the problematic relationships in my life were with my father. And of course, that's how it usually starts. That's how it works. We observe the relationship with our parents. I observe my relationship with my parents. And that relationship was problematic. And specifically because of the nature of my father's personality, and of course because of his own belief system, his own patterns that he never had an opportunity to transform and to even know. So he was just acting out from that. So I have forgiven my father. He's passed on. I don't have any negative feelings towards him whatsoever. I was speaking with my partner last night about some experiences, just because we're sharing some stuff. And then I noticed that inside of myself, I didn't have the same, those gripping kind of tightness in my, especially my stomach area, and that a bit of those butterflies in my heart that I used to have in the past whenever I think about my father. I don't have that anymore. Actually, there's this sense of peace right now, and there is a sense of wellness, well-being, and if I may say, there's even a sense of love, because I had some powerful healing experiences around that. And so, but going back and remembering the experience for the sake of this work now, as an example, so my father, due to how, what I observed between the two of them, my parents, and also from him, I was the one who came to the conclusion that I was not lovable enough. And I'll explain to you what that. So I observed these things, and these things affected me in a negative way. The relation between my parents, the actions, the behaviors, the patterns that they had developed. How did that affect me? So I observed all of this. I was young. And so, I know they loved me, especially my mother. I knew she was an incredible mother. But she still didn't talk to me about these things. She didn't come to me and explain to me why my father was behaving in such a way. She didn't even know herself. So I was left, we're all left to make the best that we can. And I know that I made the best that I could, because I was I was identified with a lot of power inside of me, or strength, even at that younger age. And at the same time, though, I also was aware of this area of my life that I did not understand but it didn't feel good to me. And so when I was experiencing these things, I try to make meaning out of them. We all do that. All children do. And the meaning that I made, and the meaning that we make as children about what we experience, is always a reflection of ourselves. So, for example, what I observed, I came to the conclusion that I wasn't lovable enough. Okay, this is in my young mind, this is what I used to think. Well, if my father is capable to behave this way, if he is not, if he can be this, without going into details, not desirable behavior, if he can go out into life and do these things that are upsetting my mother and so on, obviously it must be the reason because I am not lovable enough. Because if my father really truly loved me, saw me, and saw what a wonderful, little girl I am, of course he wouldn't be doing those kinds of things. He would be a different kind of father. He would be a different kind of parent and husband. This was my rationale. This was the rationale of, let's say, a 7, 8-year-old me. And this is very common. This is all across the board. We all come to this conclusion. Of course, we're not aware of it, but that's part of what today we're going to be, that we can make conscious, because then if we understand that, then we'll know what's controlling us and preventing us from experiencing our own freedom, our own greatness, and our own potentials, and then activate them and bring them forth into the world. So then what happened growing up, I mean, this was, in the unconscious, I was going on living my life, and a lot of my life was a good life. I was very popular. I was very intelligent. I was very creative. And yet there was a part of me that was believing that I wasn't lovable. Now, this part of me, when I was younger, because I was so popular and I was so active and I was doing so many wonderful things at school and with friends, it hadn't been activated yet. When this part of me, with the belief I am not lovable enough, got activated, was later on in my life, as a teenager and as a young woman, a young adult. And specifically when I start, having relationship with men, because in the relationship with men, that was the arena where this belief inside of me was showing up. Of course, it makes sense. So it played out something like this. I would meet a man. There was the attraction. I was very. It was easy for me to attract men because of who I was. So at first it was all exciting and wonderful and like, yes. And then as we would get into the relationship, after a little while, inevitably, I would discover that these men, even though they were good men, they were wonderful, and I know they were caring and they loved me in their own way, but there was always something missing. And one of the things that was missing was the ability for them to want to be present in the relationship, to make the commitment, to co-create a wonderful relationship with me, and have the power to do that, and to staying and co-creating that relationship with me. So all the men that I've ever met in my life when I was younger, they did not have that. I mean, today I'm in an incredible relationship. And yes, I have finally found the love of my life, the man who is matching me at the level that I am right now, where we are co-creating an evolutionary partnership, an evolutionary relationship, which is based on the highest part of ourselves, who we're becoming. And so we're relating with each other at this level. And so so we're sharing, and and so what's happening, we're supporting each other in growing the best selves of ourselves. So that wasn't always so. So now that's what I'm experiencing. But in the past, I would experience the men were not, my partners were not interested in creating that relationship. Were not interested. I wanted to, but they weren't. So then when I started sensing in their uncertainty, the story that my interpretation of that, the conclusion that I came that it was, but of course they wouldn't want to do that with me because I am not lovable enough. I'm not good or lovable enough for them to really want to do it with me. That was my conclusion. And that is exactly how I perpetuated that pattern that I was locked in and kept on feeding the limiting belief inside of me, I'm not lovable. Now, take a moment, take a deep breath, and now take a moment to think about what I asked you at the beginning of this session, of this video. What is the area of your life that you're wanting to change, that you're wanting to transform and to evolve? Now, we don't have, it's not the context of this video to go deep into that, but just to demonstrate. But what I want to do is I want you to see that in that area of your life that you're not happy with, let's call it, if it's something that it repeats itself, it's been going on for a while, then we call it, it's already an established pattern. And now for you to change that pattern, you have to discover the core belief within that pattern that is in your unconscious, that it's connected to that vulnerable part of you. And then we need to transform. You need to transform that belief, while at the same time discovering and connecting with this self, this wiser self in the mind, because the vulnerable self is living more in our body, and how we access is through our feelings. How do we know that the vulnerable self has been activated? Watch your feelings. How are you feeling? Especially if your feelings are of discomfort, or not comfortable, or problematic, then you know that you are in a pattern, and that a core belief that is not in aligned with your deeper truth of who you are has been activated. And I will share a process with you in a few minutes on how you can learn how to decipher that. But I wanted to go on and continue a little bit now, talking about the area of your life that I asked you to identify. And now in that area of your life, there is a pattern that needs to be transformed. And then you are needing to see clearly how you have been the one to create that pattern a long time ago, and how you have been the one to perpetuate it, because it's only by you seeing that you access the power of being the source of your own experiences. Remember premise number 1, that we are creative beings, and that we create our own experiences and circumstances with our beliefs, with our actions, with our thoughts, with our assumptions, with our stories. So there is already, you're paving the pathway of what needs to happen, the step-by-step process that I will be guiding you once you make the intention of working with me into unlocking all of this. And this is the most powerful transformative work that it is. I mean, I've been doing this work for the last 30 years. I'm a facilitator, a therapist, coach, and I've been exposed to a lot of work, amazing work that is out there. And I can tell you that this is one of the most powerful because it's the most comprehensive. It it is been designed as a step-by-step process to guide an individual from, breakdown, from confusion, from disconnection, into an experience of wholeness, into an experience of connection, and the experience of one's own potential. So this is all about, you have a potential inside of you that needs to be unlocked, because that is the purpose. The purpose of life is to discover these higher potentials, these higher purposes. And I'm going to also share very briefly about how I discovered my own purpose in a deeper level than I ever had before. So now, what I would like to do next, before I share a little bit about my own experience, my own story, how I did this, my story of greatness, my story of how the most traumatic experience of my life was the catalyst from my deepest transformation at a very, very deep core level. Now, I'm wanting you to have an experience of this self, of the distinction between the self in the mind, the wise, conscious, aware self that you have developed all this year, and that you're already a quite incredible human being, and the self in the body, the more unconscious self, the more vulnerable, the self that you perhaps haven't had that much access to consciously because you haven't known how to. And so again, I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes. And again, take a deep breath. Send the breath all the way down into your hips, all the way down into your feet. Imagine strong, incredible roots coming out of your feet, and send those roots all the way down into the earth, really grounding you and making you really present in yourself, in your body. And now, connect with the deeper, wider center of your wise, adult, developed self. So when you think about who you are, who you have become in your life, how you identify with yourself right now, just sense that. Just close your eyes. Sense that self. And then if you notice that the self is very much focused in your mind, it's the conscious self. So this is the part of you. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you haven't done so. So connect with this part of you, the part of you that is wise, that is resourceful, that is resilient, capable, and strong. And breathe this sense of yourself as a loving, mature, adult presence all the way down into your hips, and extending the energy of the center all the way down into the earth. And then breathe this energy, the essence of the self, outside of your body, to the edges of the room that you're in, and even beyond, as far back as you can imagine. Now extend a sense of deep presence from the self from this resilient, capable, adult, wise self to the vulnerable, younger, less mature self in the body. It's as if you are seeing that self in you, and just in your own imagination, whatever it may look like, and just feel and sense that you're moving closer to this part of you, this part, this smaller self in the body. Now, with a sense of deep presence and care, turn your attention towards this younger, more vulnerable self in your body, and extend a sense of safety, a sense of compassion to this younger part of yourself, from the deeper and wiser center of your adult self. Mirroring, welcoming, and mirroring back the feelings and needs that your younger self is experiencing. Now, from a place of deep listening and deep receptivity, so that as if you are listening, sensing with your whole body, with your whole being, as opposed to just what we're used to doing, and just with our, with our external ears. So you're listening from a deepest part inside of you. And ask the following questions that I'm going to tell you in a moment to the younger self, from the mature adult self to the younger self in the body. Make sure that when you're asking the question, that your sense of being is anchored in a place of welcoming with love whatever emerges, whatever the younger self is sharing, is disclosing to you. And then when you have received, when you hear it from this deeper, more receptive part of yourself, then make sure that you mirror back by saying, I see that you feel so and so and so and so and whatever, and I'll be guiding you. So then now be ready. So just feel, just see, anchor yourself in the adult self, and just see that younger, less vulnerable self in front of you, and extend from deep care, deep presence and love to the self. Because remember, this is what the self has wanted, has needed all along. So now you're able to give yourself this gift and ask this question: what are you feeling? Now listen for a response from your body, and just be creative here. Okay, that the response may be another feeling, another sensation, or it may even be like something that you hear, or that you feel another feeling. So just be open to receive whatever comes in whatever form it comes, and just be receptive and listening. And then lovingly mirror back the response by naming the feeling. I can see that you're feeling whatever the feeling is. So I'm just going to give you a moment to do that. So again, once you sense what the feeling is, whatever it may be, and again, trust yourself, just mirror it back. I see that you're feeling, and then name the feeling again. And do this 3 times. Ask this question 3 times and mirror it back from your adult, wise self in the mind to the younger, vulnerable self in the body 3 times. What are you feeling? And now, ask this other question 3 times. What do you need? So you're getting closer. The conscious part of you, the adult part of you, the aware part of you, to the less conscious, to the part of you in the body that has been living in a more, unconscious part of your consciousness. What do you need? Now listen again for the response and lovingly mirror back the response by naming the need, and do this 3 times. Okay. How amazing, how powerful. Have you received a clear feeling and a need? So this is a demonstration. This is of how you can, one of the ways, this is a foundational practice, one of them, to connect you to access the information, to this part of yourself somatically in your unconscious, the energy and the feelings. So what you're doing with this exercise, you are paving a pathway where you can learn how to connect, how to activate, and how to get information from this part of you. So let's say you're in a situation you're starting to feel uncomfortable. Now, if you don't know how to access that and what to do with it, you're going to continue being uncomfortable. And then that discomfort is going to affect you in so many ways, and it's going to limit you. It's going to close you up. It's going to make you wanting to, diminish yourself, contract yourself. But instead, if you now, with this practice, and of course with the other ones that are going to be coming, the more advanced ones, once we embark on this journey, on going deeper with this work, what you're going to do is you're going to take a moment, and at first you might need, a few minutes to do this, to go through this. It might take a couple of minutes, but once you practice and then it becomes second nature, you can just do it within seconds. I do this now, even with my eyes open, when I'm talking to someone, I'm sensing into myself, because I want to be aware of where I'm at, because that gives me more information, and that gives me what I need in order for me to know how to navigate, where I'm going. So this process, as simple as it is, it enables you to develop a relationship with yourself, the conscious part of you and the less conscious part of you. Because remember, I said it is very important for you to do that, because the less conscious part of you contains a lot of information that is important for you on your path of transformation and becoming a master. And also what it does, it gives you a vocabulary where you can become more familiar with the experience that you're having. So let's say if you identify a feeling, then you know what to do with it. Then because then there's going to be more skills that you're going to be learning. You're going to know how to navigate it, so that then you transform that feeling, so you're not being affected and limited and conditioned by that feeling. And also by you learning how to access your deepest needs. And again, here we're not talking about, or ego needs, the superficial needs or the neediness, the dysfunctional neediness. We're talking about needs that are living at a core, at a deeper level inside of us, that are actually are the keys to unlocking what it is inside of us that we're needing, the direction that we're needing to go to manifest our potential instead of or limitless experience that we're having. So let's say if your need is, oh, I need to be heard and I need to be more visible, let's say, out of the circumstances, out of this experience, then now you have a clue. You know what you're needed, what's needed inside of you, that needs to be up level, that needs to be grown and cultivated by you consciously. Albeit you may need to learn the skills, you may need to, create the conditions and the resources, but then at least that's the direction that you're needing to go. That's the next step. So this is really powerful. And I hope that this has been that you're getting a sense of it, that you're seeing the potential here. Now, the next step I want to do, and then I'm going to share a little bit of my story, is I want to invite you into again accessing the deeper part of yourself, the part in the mind, the conscious, aware, the more resilient, wise part of yourself, the strong part, the resourceful part. And now, closing your eyes, just sensing again, accessing that deeper listening, and then being deeply inner receptive. So you're going deeper with this. This is not just in your mind. It's not just a thinking. It's not just what you already know, but it's just really accessing what else it's possible, it's available to you in this moment as you ask the wisdom, your own body. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions for you to activate your deepest soul desires, so that you get a sense of what it is inside of you that you may not be aware of, that it's calling you. It wants your attention because it wants to be brought to become conscious, and it wants to be cultivated and grown into manifestation. So just asking the question, what do I most deeply desire to experience in this area of my life? Remember the area of your life where I asked you at the beginning of this video, of this lesson, the area that you desire to make some changes in. So what do I most deeply desire to experience in this area of my life? So make sure that you are activating a positive desire that is in the present. Like right now, I desire to experience joy, for example. So, and also make sure that it is what it is, that it's the beginning of what the potential, the possibility that may still be dormant, but that you're accessing now, then waking up to wanting to, then it's the beginning of wanting to bring it into the surface, bringing it out. Now asking the next question, and actually jot it down. What do I most deeply desire to experience? If you had something, jot it down quickly in your journal, without losing this spaciousness inside of you, this meditative space that you're in. And come back and close your eyes and ask the next question. what do I most deeply desire to express in this area of my life? So if you would have everything that you want, if this area of your life would be reflecting exactly the greatest vision, the perfect vision of how you would desire it to be, what would you be experiencing and what would you be expressing from this place of having manifested your vision? Again, there's no right and wrong here. Whatever comes up, just trust your process, trust yourself, trust your own inner guidance. You're accessing, and this is power-based too, you're accessing the compass, your own intuition, that own inner guidance, your own inner wisdom that is connected to the deeper core self, that core self that is connected to the whole universe, that is connected to the larger field of life, to the resonant field, to the matrix of life. And then take a moment to jot it down, and then come back. The next question: what do I most deeply desire to contribute in this area of my life? What would you like? Do you like to contribute to others through manifesting this vision? And the last one, so if you had it all manifested, if you were living around this place, what would you be creating? What do you most deeply desire to create? Again, there's no right or wrong. Whatever comes, just trust, allow, just be receptive, be open, and receive. And take a moment to jot it down, and notice how you're feeling right now. Notice if you're feeling more, if you're getting a sense of like, there's a more of an opening, open inside of you, an expansiveness, that sense of like, oh yes, I can start sensing what's possible for me. Now, if you're sensing that, that's fantastic, that's great. And if you're not, that's okay too, because what it just means that you need to go a little bit deeper. You need to go a little bit deeper. So now I'm going to take a moment just to share a little bit of my story. It is a powerful story, and the book that that has just been published and also which became a bestseller, Facing Grief with Eyes Wide Open: How to Transform Loss, any type of loss, into self-love and higher purpose. So I am right now, I've been doing this work for the last 30 years of my life. So I've dedicated, since I was born, to my own development and my own evolution. And then, of course, the last 25, 30 years of my life, I've been doing it consciously. I've been doing a lot, exploring a lot of modalities, a lot of work, what's out there, a lot of healing, energy, modality, shamanic work. I've done, everything. I've done a lot out there. And so, I was already developed enough. I was already a facilitator, a therapist, a teacher. And then what happened in 2009 I call it my own personal 9/11 because it happened on September 11, 2009, is that my only son passed away. He died, and I found him, as he was drawing his last breath in his own room, in his room. Well, I don't want you to imagine. I don't, because that is not the pain and the grief that I experience is not really the point of the context of what we're doing here today, but is only insofar to let you see that it was one of the ultimate, the worst experiences that any human being can have, the most devastating, the most painful. I felt like, within the 6 months, the first 6 months after the grieving, I almost felt like I felt like I was going to die. The pain was so overwhelming. But it wasn't just pain. It was like my whole consciousness has loosened itself from my own sense of identity, with my own ego, and I'm talking about a healthy ego here, how I knew myself, what I had gathered, what I had incorporated, what I had learned, who I knew myself to be. Everything got shattered. There was a period of time where everything got nothing meant the same to me anymore. So there was a loosening of my consciousness. And that's where, so there was pain. There was all this, I don't know anything, because the only thing that I'm experiencing right now in this loss. But what happened at the same time, it enabled me to really then choose how I wanted to navigate that process, the grief process. And I chose to navigate it consciously. I mean, I didn't really choose it consciously, and one day I decided, I'm going to do it again. But because of the work that I had already been done, because of how, who I had already become up to that point, it lent itself that I naturally, by default, I did it consciously because I was living a conscious life. And so what happened is that I needed to access another part inside of myself, a core part of myself that was outside of the grief, that I sensed, because I was very connected with this part of myself, what I said, the super conscious part, because I had been connected with this part of me since I was a child. I felt myself be very spiritual, very, very in tune, very aware. And so I sensed that. So these are the things that I did. I sensed that if I wanted to navigate this process and not only survive it, but also teach me something, whatever I needed to know at a soul level, but whatever I needed to know in order for me to not only move out of it, survive it, but also allow me to grow into someone more than I had been before. Because that's what I wanted. That's what I was doing. I wasn't doing it consciously, step by step. But I remember the first night, that's what I did. I made a prayer. I prayed to God. I prayed to God. And I said, the only way I'm going to be able to navigate this, I'm going to be able to accept this, is if I discover a higher purpose. That's why my book, I call it, Higher Purpose. And also self-love, because one of the things that I really gained this ability, this gift of really develop this relationship with myself and really falling in love with myself, really loving, really creating this relationship around a strong bond of love, a bond of compassion and caring. I was the one. I was the grieving one. I was the grieving mother. I was the child who needed my mother to take care of me, to nourish me, to comfort me. But my mother had already passed on, so she was not available for that. So, and I had lots of friends. I had lots of powerful people that were around me. But when it came, after a couple of months, when it came down to it, I was left by myself to do this work, to really, and I was also, then I became the one to support myself. So again, what I said at the beginning is like, when I was talking about the consciousness, is like I was the grieving one, I was the wounded one, I was the one who almost died from the pain. And at the same time, I was starting to, because I was connecting with this deeper source inside of me, this deep core self, then I brought the self to the surface. I cultivated this self, because then the self became the one, slowly, to be the one to help this other part of me, to be the one to provide comfort, to provide safety, to provide at this point, at this level, because now this part of me is the one that is the, what I call the queen, and this is like a metaphor. Okay, this has nothing to do with ego. It's like this is a superpower. So now I recognize my brilliance, I recognize my highest potential, I recognize my gifts, and I humbly, accept them, because I know at this core level, that these gifts are not just for me, but these are the gifts that I'm here to share and contribute to the world. And we're all here to discover this. And I discovered this at a time where it was the most devastating time of my life. So imagine that you haven't gone through this experience. Not too many people. Most people experience loss, because loss is not just about losing a child, a loved one, but losses are, losing your job, losing something, anything that is meaningful, that is precious to us, anything that activates our emotions, it's significant. And so then I was able to cultivate this relationship with myself, where I healed the wounded mother, and where I created, now where I created this merger, this connection, this bond, where now I am more whole than I ever was before. And I am now really consciously, anchored into the part of me that I've developed, this part of me that I feel it is the truth, the deeper truth of who I am. So even you can discover that, the deepest truth of who you are, your gifts, your potential, and align yourself with them, so that then you can so that you can create, you can build, you can orchestrate the life that you want, because it is you, the only you, that can do that. And by doing that, this is the good news. This is how you empower yourself to be, the empowered co-creator with life of your own, or what it is of your own vision, or what it is for you to manifest. So, if you want to know a little bit more about my story, then of course you are welcome to read the book, because, I go more in details for that. But the whole point about it was that one of the most devastating experiences, I was able to do that. So if I'm able to do that in that challenging experience, anyone can do this, given, if they learn the skills, and in order, to do so. So I would like to guide you into one last process, one last experience, and then we're done. And then you're going to wait for Patrick to share how, what the next step is. So now the last exercise I want to guide you is called the connecting with your future self. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, send the breath all the way down into your hips. Just allow your awareness to move into a deeper place of inner listening and inner receptivity. And now, begin to imagine your future life being fulfilled exactly according to your deepest desires that you have in this future life, that you already have accomplished everything that you ever wanted to accomplish, that you're already living your gifts, your manifestations, your potentials. So imagine, so this is your future, it's already realized. And imagine it as though you were already living this life. Feel it in your body. Engaging all of your senses. So imagine that you can smell the smells of this life, future life, that you can see the colors, that you can touch the different textures, that you can sense, that you can smell the smells. So activate, just incorporate all your sensory perceptions as much as you can to make it really alive, to make it really like, yes, this is really to give you a realistic feel for it. So what does it look like, this life, this future life realized? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What does it smell like? Notice the sense of self you have inside of this future fulfilled. So who are you being while you are inside of your future already being fulfilled? See if you can identify the I am statement that names the experience of yourself. For example, I am free. I am whole and complete. Or I am my great self. Or I am in love. I'm walking. Whatever it may be. Just again, trust yourself. No judge. There is no right and wrong. Whatever comes is perfect. Now again, see if you can identify the others or statement that names your experience of others while you're living your life fulfilled. So, for example, others are very eager to want to support me, to others really like me, they're really excited and they're really inspired by me, whatever it may be. And one last one. Begin, what is the life is statement? Life is that names your experience of life inside of the fulfillment of this future. Life is great. Life is co-creating with me. I mean, I don't want to tell you, but I'm just giving you some examples just to inspire you. Now, notice also the outer development that you need to cultivate in order to fulfill, in order to fully align your life with this future fulfilled. And see yourself actively beginning to cultivate and create the skills and structures. Now begin to create an ongoing support structure that will empower both the inner and the outer development needed in order to fulfill the future you're committed to creating. Allow yourself to be as excited, as joyful, as in love with yourself, others' life, as inspired, as resourceful and creative as you can imagine. You are the one who gives yourself permission to be whatever it is that you desire to be, whatever it is that you're capable of being. So just give it to yourself. Give this gift to yourself. And one last thing, I want you to experience a sense of gratitude. Wow, I am so grateful for having discovered this. I am so grateful for what I've learned, for what I see it's possible, for what I can accomplish, I can create, how I can be the one to fulfill my destiny, to fulfill my life, to fulfill my future, to create the most extraordinary relationship that I want. This is good news. This is news to be grateful and to rejoice. So allow yourself to experience that right now and giving thanks. And I want to give you thanks for allowing me for this opportunity for me to share these amazing, incredible, incredible work that has enabled me to become a master. Not only in the work that I'm doing, but also in my own life. And I want to invite you to see that you also can be a master of your own life, a master of your own transformation, and the birthing and the manifestation of your own vision, and to unlocking your own power. So I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank you for listening, for being engaged, for doing the processes, and I want to ask you, even when you're done, when we close, for you to, the point about this, for you to be excited about what's possible. So I want to invite you to really, now that you're focusing, to have a taste of what's possible, to make a commitment to yourself, to really, to go deeper with this work. Because everything that you're wanting, that you've ever wanted in your life, is possible for you to have. And these are the structures. This is the process. This is the path. This is that you can take, that will guide you step by step, and will give you all the resources, all the skills, all the processes, all the experiences for you that you require in order for you to move you, to evolve you, to develop you from where you are right now into the future self and the future of your life that you're wanting to actualize. So please stay tuned right now for Patrick, because he has some exciting news for you to share. And I look forward to go deeper with you. So my name is Medea Bavarella Chechik, and I leave you with a blessing. I bless you. Take care, and bye for now. Looking forward to connecting with you again soon. Stay tuned for Patrick.